So even though I have been making a lot of character duel content, I still have been playing the KC Cup because, as miserable as the meta is in Speed Duel, you still gotta get those daily gems, and this is the deck that I have been playing. Miserable times calls for miserable solutions, and this is one of the solutions that you can be playing to kind of counter the meta without actually playing the top meta decks, right? The best two decks by a large margin, Ferion and Destiny Heroes. I know there might be like some ABC players once in a while, but those two are the most popular decks, and those two decks are the decks to beat if you want to remotely win any games in the KC Cup, especially in Stage 2. And the reason why I chose to play a deck like this is that it has solutions to what the top decks are doing, right? The deck doesn't lose to kaijus at all. It doesn't care about Lava Golem, doesn't care about Sphere mode. It beats the 5 negate boards that Ferion puts up, or like the skill drain that Destiny Heroes can make, because you have access to Sphere modes and Lava Golems, and you have a consistent way of getting it by using your skill. It beats those decks when you go first because you just have access to a floodgate that completely ends their turn, and most importantly, the deck is fast, right? You don't have to go through long combo lines to make an unbeatable board. You can just set up a floodgate, activate it, and then your opponent scoops. It's just so easy. So this is what I have been playing. Let me just quickly go over the strategy of this deck. It is basically Horus Stun. The whole idea is you will use your skill, which is the Mokuba skill. It helps you add stuff from your deck, and you're just playing a 20 card deck, which makes it really easy to search what you need depending on if you're going first or second. Obviously, if you're going first, you want to have the floodgate, and if you're going second, you want to break your opponent's board with Lava Golem and Sphere mode. So realistically, the only weakness of this deck is FTKs, and if they draw back row removal if you go first. So if I play against an FTK, as soon as I see them, doing the combo, and I know that they're doing the FTK combo, I am immediately scooping, and I'm going to the next game. So regardless, this deck plays really quickly, which is what I like about playing a deck like this, because I don't want to spend a lot of time playing games in this miserable meta. So you want to deck fin as well with Horus. MZT searches the King Sock and then draws a card. King Sock can dump multiple cards from your deck, which decks fins a lot. You can use this effect 4 times, so even if you already have the Horus in the graveyard, you still want to use it just to get the additional copies of MZT out of your deck so that you can deck fin. The Dia Servant also decks fins for 2 cards because it searches 1 Dogmatica, and then you can send the Tribe Brigade Ferrijit, and then this draws you another card. So a lot of ways for you to deck fin. So it's really likely that you will be able to have the Tirade in your hand. And you've just basically set up your board. You will be able to have the Mystical Elf on your field, and then you turn it into the Link one, which fulfills the condition of your Ecclesia, which you can then special summon. And then you add your Dogmatica Punishment in case your opponent has a really large monster. And also it can, the punishment, even if your opponent doesn't have a larger monster, you can still use it to send Entis to pop any back row that they might have set. So basically the deck is pretty simplistic. All you're trying to do is set up Horus, and then either Floodgate when you go first, and then you Lava Golem or Sphere mode when you go second, because you don't actually use your normal summon. And the Nadir Servant does double duty to either search your follow-up when you go first. You can search the trap card and also draw cards with the Ferrijit, or when you go second, you send Entis and then pop a card. So this is pretty much the most straightforward deck you could be playing and still have a chance against the top decks in the meta. So yeah, let's have a look at some replays. Alright, first replay, we're going first. This shows you what the deck aims to do when going first. It's pretty much the exact same thing. Even without those consistency skills that search anything in your deck, the deck is still really consistent. As you can see, we only drew the the Tirade, which is pretty good. Now we just need to find the Deer Servant. And before we activate our skill to draw cards with Mystical Elf, we will deck Finn just a little bit, and this increases the chance that we actually get access to what we need, well, which we do. We find the Deer Servant, so before you activate it, remember to link the Mystical Elf off so that you don't get locked out of the extra deck. And then now we can just put back the punishment into our deck so that we can search it from our deck with the Ecclesia. And then we'll just bring back the 2 Horus from the graveyard, and then in draw phase we'll tribute both the Link one and the Ecclesia, and then now we just basically win the game because they can activate the Valen's Field Spell, they can add any Virions to their hand, but none of them can be summoned, so they can't really do anything, and they will scoop. So yeah, that you can pretty much see why this deck is a good idea when you just want to get the daily gems and spend as little time in the meta as possible, because you just get games that last for like 2 minutes and your opponent will just scoop immediately when they either have no outs to your trap, or if they do, you can scoop and then you can go next. Next game, our opponent is also playing Firion, but this time they are going first and we are going second. And as long as they are not doing the FTK, we are really favored to win just because we have so many outs in our deck and we have consistent access to it just by having the Mystical Elf, which they cannot negate because this is a skill activation and all of their cards negate effects. They don't really have good form of removal normally in their end board, which means that they can't really stop you from using your skill to look for Lava Golems or Sphere Modes. Our opponent is going to end on kind of a subpar board, but doesn't matter if they have 3 negates or 5 negates, it's all going away as soon as my turn starts. We're going to make a Sphere Mode, which we kind of have a little bit of trouble outing ourselves because it cannot be targeted by card effects and also it cannot be attacked. So unlike Lava Golem, we kind of have to go out of our way to get rid of it without having access to, you know, the Horus being able to beat over the Lava Golem. But it's still okay. You can still link off the Artemis. Remember to do that before we activate the Nadir Servant. We'll activate, we'll summon Typhon because our opponent has summoned more than twice from the extra deck, and Typhon actually outs our own Sphere Mode because Typhon does not target. So afterwards, we'll activate Nadir Servant just to send Entis to make sure that our opponent doesn't have like a Drowning Mirror Force or something, and we'll just attack and our opponent will scoop. So yeah, pretty simple deck. I hope this gets banned. I hope Tyrant's Tirade gets limited at least, and realistically it should be completely banned. But you know, the ban list the ban list just needs to do a lot for the meta to be remotely playable. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Hopefully they address the broken decks in the format, so I don't have to play stuff like this in order to win. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Goodbye.